This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
They come to the 8th ball, and California Chrome is absolutely sensational. California Chrome shines bright in the Kentucky Derby.
Will take charges surging, and it's a photo finish. It's too close to call.
African Story wins the Dubai World Cup.
Macho Man!
Broadcasting live from the Capital OTB studios, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Racing Across America. I'm Anthony Moreno, sitting in for Seth Merrow. Seth Merrow and our producer, Mick Richards, down at Belmont Park as we speak. Belmont Stakes week underway. Gary Gullo gave us a $100 winner. Well, not us, but the wise bettors following Gary Gullo in the middle of the card yesterday. In the fourth race, that was moved over to the Widener turf course. They scored a big victory, getting their bankroll nice and plump for the weekend. The card is out for Belmont Stakes Day with the official program numbers and Eric Donovan's morning line. And I guess with 13 races to handicap, earlier we get started, maybe the better. But remember, we still have racing on Thursday and Friday at Belmont Park, and they're off the turf at Belmont Park on Thursday afternoon. So no turf racing this afternoon at Belmont. And if you haven't taken a look at the entire card on Saturday afternoon at Belmont for bettors, rarely outside of mid-autumn does it get any better than it does Saturday afternoon, the 13-race card. I think in particular, it's great for the Capital District because we are NYRA, followers leading the pack by far. I mean, this is a day when many of the horses and almost all of the connections were extremely familiar with. And we have Ben's Cat coming in for the Jaipur from Maryland, which many of us are familiar with. So it's almost an at-home great betting day. And I think one of the questions I'll have for John DeSilva later on this morning is, what has a better probability, a public handicapper or Todd Pletcher sweeping the 13-race card? When I looked at the index of trainers, which is when you print out the daily racing form sheets for the races, they put the index of trainers by name and then which races they have entrants. Todd Pletcher has them in all 13. But how about this? In the column of names where Todd Pletcher falls and the column that precedes him, if you add all the other trainers together, they don't have the 13-race card filled. Todd Pletcher does all by himself, so an incredible day. Remember, post time Saturday, 11:35 in the morning. Final post will be around 8:12. Also, remember, if you want to come down to the race book, remember, obviously a hot ticket everywhere around, but 438-0127 to get your reservation. Please call as quickly as possible. It is morphing into what it usually does, which is a very big sporting event, and it's still growing. I have to say that I cannot remember which horse going for the Triple Crown garnered more general sports interest or general news interest than California Chrome. I mean, this is a big story, and I guess at 9:30 this morning, Victor Espinosa rung the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. He has rides this afternoon at Belmont Park, so he should make it in plenty of time. Also, I'm now told that joining us is the regular host of Racing Across America from Belmont Park Live. Seth Merrow joins us. Seth, good morning.
Good morning from rainy Belmont Park. There's been a little bit of a soaker this morning. It seems to be letting up now. The weather forecast is by about lunchtime, I think it's going to break, and they're also talking some sun this afternoon. So I think then, of course, tomorrow and Saturday's forecast much better. But overnight we did have some rain, and as I say, it was kind of a soaking rain, just drizzling at this point, but the weekend looks good.
Well, that's good, and as the good people in Baltimore found, they got their rain on Friday, protected Preakness Day, and it looks like Seth is telling us that New York will have their Friday and Saturday protected. Obviously, they're off the turf this afternoon. Was there much activity today, or was it really quiet trackside because of the inclement weather?
I was told we weren't here for the early morning,
Okay.
but I was told the California Chrome did get out this morning. There was a couple right-on curling, I believe, was out on the track early this morning. And then we just were over at the barn interviewing Rick Violet, and he just had Stamrod out a few minutes ago, and Rick was kind of happy. Just was out for, stretch the legs a little bit, but he was happy with that. And as I said, they were out. When they were out, it was a pretty steady rain, half an hour or so ago. But he was happy with what he got from Stamrod, and he's looking forward to it. Yesterday at the breakfast, we talked to the California Chrome team, and Steve Coburn says it's a done deal. And Art Sherman was fairly confident as well, and we'll have some tape of that we'll be sending back, and folks can look at that over the next couple of days on the network. But it was enjoyable. We've got a lot of the major players, and everybody's looking forward to it. Absolutely big. Well, a couple of the stakes races tomorrow, obviously, but an incredible Saturday card.
It's, Seth, I was saying how, this is kind of a home day for our viewers as we follow NYRA so closely, and a 13-race card for the bettors that is really unmatched until we get to the Breeders' Cup. And I was wondering, Seth, as a public handicapper yourself, is it going to be Todd Pletcher or a public handicapper that sweeps the card on Saturday?
Good question. I mean, it's going to be an interesting card, given that when you get to the Belmont Stakes, folks have to make that choice. Do you go with California Chrome and take the short price and try to find some way to make some money, or do you take a little bit of a shot against? And if you're taking a shot against, then you're going to be going against, the feel-good story and history. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how it shakes out betting-wise. You and I were talking about what the potential odds would be.
Yes.
And morning line 3 to 5. I think was kind of right in between maybe where we were, maybe closer to what you were saying.
Yeah.
And I hadn't even thought, but somebody brought up a great point yesterday. There's going to be a lot of souvenir tickets bought tomorrow that are going to help his odds shop down a little bit.
Always.
Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah,
and matter of fact, Capital Off-Track Betting will be buying $1 souvenir tickets for, well, they can cash them in if they like, I guess, on California Chrome to everybody who signs up for a reservation. But I think 3 to 5 was the number that I thought Eric would set on him, and I'm wondering, if 2 to 5 is possible, because I think he will definitely be odds on. Seth, right now our audience is looking at the post position draw for the 11 runners in here. Any murmurs about a 12 furlong race at Belmont Park on the dirt about post positions?
No, I don't think there was any concerns really one way or the other that I heard or saw, after the breakfast yesterday. So I think, obviously the race where it does make the difference is the Derby with the 20-horse field and that one post position that nobody wants. But I think, when you get to the Belmont, a more manageable field,
sure.
there weren't any real concerns.
And anybody, I know it's way down the totem pole, but Palace Malice did draw the 1 in a beefy field, the Metropolitan Mile.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything there either,
Yeah.
because at the breakfast, they just kind of blew through that.
Yeah.
The undercard.
There's a
Obviously,
surprise.
The big things were the post positions for the Belmont Stakes. So I didn't really hear anything from Todd Pletcher talking about Palace Malice.
Okay, just a great card there. And you say you think that about lunchtime, the weather will be appreciably nicer for those betting and watching the card from Belmont today. You think the worst is over?
Yeah, that's the forecast. It was coming down pretty good maybe an hour or so ago, and now it's really let up to just kind of a sprinkle. And the forecast that they were giving was lunchtime it'll let up, and by afternoon some sunshine.
Well, Seth, any other bits of news before we cut you loose?
Well, like I say, we've got some nice interviews over the past couple of days. They'll be cutting into the programming tomorrow and the next day, so people can pick up on that. The entire California Chrome team. We did get some time with Todd Pletcher. We also talked to Billy Gowan, the ride-on curling trainer.
Yes.
Just got Rick Violet, Jimmy Jerkins. We got a little talk about Wicked Strong. So tune into the network over the next couple of days for some of that conversation.
Well, Seth, one thing we can say that we know for sure that the California Chrome people, what they call their shot in the Derby, about 4 weeks out.
Exactly.
2-3 weeks out, they called it, and their enthusiasm has not tempered, which maybe it should not. Seth Merrill, have a great time down at Belmont Park. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, take it easy.
Seth Merrill, ladies and gentlemen, the regular host of Racing Across America, joining us live from Belmont Park, where it sounds as though they had a rainy, sounds like a really good rain this morning, and obviously being off the turf this afternoon. But hopefully the negative part of weather is behind it. Hopefully it just gets better and better going into Friday's card. Remember, there's 2 stakes races at the end of the card. Tomorrow, a nice stakes race, and I apologize, what was it? Oh, the True North tomorrow, and then the 2-mile turf race, the Belmont Park Cup, which I cannot wait for. 2 miles. I love the long distance races. I'm still upset they dropped the marathon from the Breeders' Cup. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, John DeSilva joins us in his regular Thursday morning spot.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me Friday and Saturday, June 6th and 7th, when I'll be reporting live from the backstretch at Belmont. We'll be speaking with top trainers and analysts, getting insights on all of the stakes action from Belmont Stakes Day. All the best right here on Capital OTB TV.
Affirmed holding ahead in front, and Ali Dar on the outside is challenging again.
The build-up to most races or most events, quite often the result is anticlimactic, but that can never be said about the 1978 Belmont.
Affirmed's got a nose in front as they come onto the wire.
The crowd at the Belmont that day, they saw the heart of a true champion.
There are races and there are events. On Saturday, June 7th, experience the richest day in the history of the Belmont Stakes.
On Preakness Day, no one brought you more insight, more analysis, and more information crucial to the professional horse player than OTB TV, with live coverage from Pimlico, including Pimlico track announcer Dave Rodman, HorsePlayerNow.com's Brian Nadow, and none other than California Chrome's exercise rider Willie Delgado, each with their own expert analysis and first-hand look at track conditions and early morning workouts. So for the very latest racing news and opinions, keep it right here on OTB TV.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the King of the Hill on June 14th. So sign up today, online at capitalotb.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrill.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Racing Across America. We're now joined by John DeSilva, who joins us from RacingWithBruno.com. John, good morning.
Good morning. How's everything up there? Hopefully it's dry.
It was rainy early this morning, which I hear was apparently what it was like out in Elmont, New York. But, you know, anytime when 72 hours out, you have the official program numbers and the morning line odds for a 13-race handicapping smorgasbord such as Belmont Stakes Day, it's a good day regardless of the outside weather.
You got that right. The only thing that worries me is you have this rain right now. Of course, we're off the turf. We're probably going to have a sealed racetrack. I am hoping this isn't the beginning of a speed-favoring track which is going to hurt some horses for the next 2 days. Because as we've noticed on big days, these racetracks have this crazy mentality of having a nice speed-favoring track, thinking record times will help. And as we saw in the Breeders' Cup last year, Princess of Silmar, she had no shot once she hit that racetrack. And I just want a fair track for everyone this weekend.
And, you know, John, the problem is even compounded by the fact that you and I know as we watch racing on a normal, everyday, non-Triple Crown on the line, we're always leery of the racetrack immediately following a significant weather pattern.
Yeah, and they just, we'll seal the track, I'm sure. When you watch the race this day, I'll be shocked if it's not sealed, and it's going to pack everything down, and you might even get a little scraping from the top, just get rid of that mud, which makes it even more speed favoring.
Yeah, it will be unfortunate, and I tell you one thing, Friday afternoon at the Breeders' Cup was one of the most unfair racetracks I'd ever seen, and I'm a guy who usually is is considered an apologist for the West Coast, but even that Friday after the Breeders' Cup was just about as bad as it gets. Well, John, obviously the larger sense of the sporting world is focused on the Belmont Stakes, but you and I know that the card that they put together, when even the Manhattan for $1 million Grade 1 can't see the light of day. I want to take a look at two races with you, one of which I think is perhaps one of the finest showdowns we've had in the Breeders' Cup era that took place long before the Breeders' Cup, and the other is a race where I think not only the best dirt, but maybe perhaps the best horse in training is taking part. Let's first start with the $1 million Grade 1 Ogden Phipps with Closed Hatches, Princess of Sylmar, Beholder, and others, and how great it is that we have a showdown like this in June.
I am so happy that not only we have this race, but this race is later on in the day, because I was afraid with the short field, we would see this race as race maybe 3, race 4, because it's a short field.
Right.
I think if Campo was racing secretary, he probably would have done that.
Okay.
But I think they know the value that this is something that needs to be on television. We want to see it live, and let's make this part of all these exotic wagers, because you don't have a solid favorite. It's a tremendous race. You might see the 3 top choices anywhere from 3-2 to 2-1. And everybody else long prizes. And it is a tremendous race. And again, if it's a fair racetrack, I think Princess of Sylmar has excellent chance to win here. But again, we have to watch how the track plays the next day and a half prior to that race. Because if it's speed favoring, as we saw in Santa Anita, she's not going to win. But I want that fair racetrack, because if it's fair, she's the winner.
One thing that will never have a chance to find in the media, as a sporting proposition, how big is this from Richard Mandella?
It's huge, because you don't see this too often. Shipping from California to the East Coast to run against the best in your division, what could be the race of the year. Because as we've heard earlier this year, Princess of Sylmar isn't planning to go back to California and take that chance again. So this might be the only time these two get to meet with each other. And for Mandella to make this move, it is a tremendous sporting gesture, and this could be the race that determines the championship.
Well, I say one thing. I've said this, John, before about the interesting place where Beholder sits in my mind's eye. Now, you think about the Eclipse history. This goes back to '71, and for you think about horses like the Bid, Affirmed, and Seattle Slew that all won a championship at 2, 3, and 4. And I think if my 50-year-old brain is right, no filly has ever done that. And Beholder obviously has that in her lap going forward. And that is not, you cannot overstate the fact that if you become the first girl and you join the likes of those 3 boys, I don't care if you always ran at Santa Anita only, that would be an incredible accomplishment. And obviously on Saturday, she takes a big stand, because, John, I think with the voters, if she comes east and wins, she's going to have like 2 free passes the rest of the year in her division for honors.
No doubt about it. I mean, some people thought she was the best 3-year-old last year, no matter what happened, beyond that Friday. But like you said, she wins, she's got the free pass. And it's going to be a situation where if the older horses keep on beating each other, and if we don't get a Triple Crown winner, she's going to be right up there for Horse of the Year, because she's going to have that much respect. But at the same time, though, we look at the top 3. We see how great they are. There is one little obstacle, which we have to consider. It's a slight chance. I'm not going to make this my top choice.
Okay.
But if anybody could do the upset, it's the Giant Killer.
Oh,
I mean, for Alan Jerkins to ship up from Florida with a horse like this, you would think, is he nuts? No, he's a Giant Killer. He doesn't make a move like this unless he's that confident he's got the shot to win.
All right, let's take a quick look. We're going to show the Cat K Stakes, which was the 4-year-old debut for Princess of Sylmar. And John, it seems to me, going into this race, the way the race looks on paper, there seems to be enough early energy in the race, of which Princess of Sylmar will be a non-participant in it, that this is as good a setup for her, maybe, as Beholder had at Santita last year in the Breeders' Cup.
It definitely is. You look at that race in the Cat K, she was probably a little closer to the pace than what she wanted to be with those fractions, but she handled it with ease, which means she's probably bigger, she's probably stronger, she's probably fitter than what she was at this time last year. And to me, if she can handle faster fractions, she's going to be very dangerous because, again, like you said, we have more than enough speed with a closed hatches, with the Beholder, with a classic point that she could just take advantage and move whenever she wants. Even Kieran's antipathy, could be a little pace pressure.
Right.
And if you want somebody coming from off the pace, I'd rather have Princess of Sylmar over Belle Galante.
And you certainly would like to have Javier Castellano, who has just been on an incredible roll. I said this in February of 2014 that, and we knew he was getting his Eclipse Award, that he was riding even better from January 1st this year. One quick note, and it seems to happen that closed hatches never seems to get the respect for being 2-1 against Princess of Sylmar Lifetime. And one of the interesting tidbits for me is Bill Mott's first Grade 1 victory in New York, John, was 30 years ago today in the old Hempstead, which is the Ogden Phipps. And it didn't, I didn't miss the fact that closed hatches, who I think is always underrated, and I'm not a workout follower, John, but it has been a chorus of closed hatches working out beautifully for this race on the 30th anniversary of Bill Mott's first Grade 1 race in New York, the same race, but she never seems to get her just due.
She never does, and it's unfortunate, but look at the trainer. He just goes out there and does his job. He doesn't do anything else. He just wants to go out there, train, win. Thank you very much. And that's the sign of a great trainer because he got Judmont here, the owner of Closed Hatches. They want to win all the big races in the world, and after losing Frankel, they wanted a trainer who gets the job done. And, Bill Mott, just as good as anybody out there to win a big race. And again, he doesn't want the fanfare. He just wants to go out there and win. And like you said, look at the way this horse has been training. Has been trained spectacularly. And for Mott, this horse has been training down here at Belmont Park. Usually at Saratoga. So he's really concentrating on what he wants to do here. He wants to win this race big time. He's not taking any chances.
And now another race we're going to take a look at, I think, probably because of the field size of 13 and the level of accomplishment for the runners, I think it's the best athletic contest of the day. I am biased, though. It is my favorite race of the year annually. It's not on Memorial Day anymore. The Metropolitan Mile. John, we're going to give our viewers a view of the public paid workout for Palace Malice, his stretch run in the Westchester.
That was a public workout. I mean, he couldn't have done any better than that race that day. I mean, Declan Warrior was a clunk up second, but Palace Malice, public workout coming into this race. The thing that you have to worry about, though, is he's carried 123 that day, so now he has to carry 124 coming into this race. He's going to be the starting high weight, and he's not going to have an easy time breaking from the rail. I mean, you take a horse like Normandy Invasion, who's carrying 116 pounds. Look at the way that horse won 2 starts back. He looked like a monster, like a mile was perfect for him. But then he goes against Palace Malice going 2 turns, and basically I think Rosie made an early move and got schooled that day. Now got Castellano back on. Normandy's very dangerous. Look at clearly now. He's a horse off the board only once in his career. And that was off a troubled trip, carrying 117 pounds. And then you have other speeds. You take a horse like Broadway Empire, Robertino Diodoro. I mean, people don't know who this guy is. But this guy is one of the sneakiest trainers out there. And for him, not only to ship to New York, but to bring in Scott Stevens, Gary's brother, to ride. I mean, he's going for the price, and he's going for it. And that horse could be very dangerous, especially if it is a speed paving racetrack. And we haven't even touched Golden Sense. I mean, look at that last workout. My God, horses don't run races that fast. And that horse had a tremendous workout. And he might be the best miler out there, period.
Central Banker seems to be, you know, right about the best of his game. Those of us at Saratoga last year remember Capo Bastone, who will clearly be a long shot. I will say the field size, maybe not the publicity, John, but when they developed the Metropolitan Mile, it was this field of 13 that they envisioned would meet annually at Belmont Park.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned a horse who I think should have been in this race, who I think would have been very dangerous, Social Inclusion.
Oh.
If he was in this race, I mean, he had a huge chance, too.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. John, any thoughts for our viewers on Belmont Park this afternoon where they're off the turf?
We are off the turf today, but we do have some thoughts later on in the day. First, we're going to go to race number 6, which is off the turf, but we are going with the main track only, who is part of the entry, which is Bluegrass Flash. This is a horse who made a middle move and then finished second in the slop, going a mile as a favorite. I think with a little patient handling today, Bluegrass Flash gets the job done. And then the next race, we have number 1, Dr. Dempsey, in that State Bred allowance. Bob Baffert, first time against State Breds, has been working very well. I think the horse being Carlos Holiday out of an unbridled mare should handle the off-track despite being on the rail. And then we go to the last race. I'm going to take a little bit of a shot here with number 8, Luna Brava, Andrew Lakeman. This is a horse who ran second in slop 2 starts back for $25,000. Yes, the horse is stretching out today, but I think the horse's speed will be to his advantage today.
All right, John DeSilva, ladies and gentlemen, racingwithbruno.com. John, thank you very much. Enjoy this great weekend of racing down at Belmont Park.
You too. Good luck, everyone.
All right, John DeSilva, racingwithbruno.com. Ladies and gentlemen, take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
California Chrome has won the Preakness! And that elusive prize, the Triple Crown, awaits California Chrome in the Belmont Stakes.
The dream continues. The Triple Crown dream is still alive.
And the best place to be when it happens is the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. You can also be part of the action by visiting one of our Easy Bet or branch locations or bet online at CapitalOTBBet.com.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Racing Across America. I'm Anthony Mormino, sitting in for Seth Merrill. Seth and our producer, Mick Richards, down at Belmont Park, as they will continue to be through the weekend as the thoroughbred eyes and the world eyes turn to Belmont Park. And you should know that the past performances are already up. 13 race card on Saturday afternoon. The morning line is set, and obviously a smorgasbord of betting opportunities. We're going to now turn our attention to a spring-like day out Chicago way, Arlington Park on the docket this afternoon. And joining us from the Arlington Park is Gabby Gaudet. Gabby, good morning.
Good morning, Anthony. How are you?
We're good. We've had some spectacular, almost early summer-like weather, but it did rain early this morning. We're hoping that that blows out. Seth Merrill just joined us live at the top of the hour from Belmont, and I guess they had very, very rainy morning, but that the weather is already starting to improve, and the forecast was that sometime around lunch today, down at Belmont, the weather will be nice and getting continually nicer. Remember, they have 2 stakes races tomorrow. Then, obviously, Saturday afternoon, the weather should be terrific. And, Gabby, you tell us the weather is great at Arlington Park.
Yes, it's great. We actually had a little bit of bad weather yesterday, but early there was a little bit of rain. So it's really cleared up, and it's nice. And exactly how you pointed it out, it's very spring-like out here in Chicagoland. So I'm guessing that the turf course this afternoon will be rated as yielding, though, because we did get some rain earlier in the week.
Okay, that is good. You should also know that I'm a big Chicago Blackhawk fan. I know a lot of them go to the racetrack out your way. So, you know, and I love Chicago. And the racetrack, I've told people from here, not only is Chicago a great place to draw, and I know we're all very provincial about Saratoga, but I have to say, Gabby, that Arlington is probably aesthetically and for cleanliness about the top of the heap in United States racing tracks that I've had the pleasure of visiting.
Absolutely. It is a A-plus class facility out here. I mean, it's so well taken care of, and the fans love to come out, whether they know a lot about horse racing or whether they don't know a lot about horse racing. It's just a fantastic facility. And you know, as we get later into the summer as well, we have some great racing coming in, international racing. So absolutely, it's definitely a racetrack worth coming to visit at least once or twice.
I tell people that, and I don't think it gets as much publicity as Saratoga or Del Mar, who run very prestigious summer meets, but Arlington is probably right in that group for family racetrack venues to attend, and I don't think it gets enough publicity for that area. It's a great family place to go in the summertime.
Absolutely. I mean, the marketing department here as well, they do a fantastic job with getting people, especially locals, to come out and enjoy the races. Like I said, whether they're affiliated with horse racing or not, it's just a great venue to come out and enjoy the racing and other events that are going on. And my heart is always with Saratoga. There's something about Saratoga, especially in the mornings. You know, it's kind of magical out there, but definitely Arlington is a fantastic facility as well.
I've always thought one of the things that helps Saratoga, and you're talking to a guy who grew up here, is because of the logistics. It really does seem like it's at a country fair. I mean, we're not in a metropolitan area, and it has a real horsey feel to it. Now, Santa Anita is gorgeous when the smog rolls out, but you always feel as if you're in the middle of a city, and Arlington is out at Arlington Heights, and you take the mass transit to get there. But you're right, Saratoga with its wooden grandstands and such, and its county fair at the foot of the Adirondacks can be very unique. Gabby, quick thought before we get to Arlington. They drew the post positions for the Belmont Stakes. California Chrome drew number 2. He's been installed the 3-5 favorite. Do you have any thoughts, early thoughts, on the Belmont Stakes?
You know, my heart is with California Chrome. I'm going to be rooting for him tooth and nail. He's a fantastic horse. I mean, even his demeanor when I saw him and kind of was working around him in Pimlico, it just looks like he's a very, very smart horse, and he can kind of put himself in the right position. He can overcome obstacles. Obviously, the big question is, you know, I guess all these other horses that are coming into the race are fresh. And he, especially with the connections, the Shermans, you know, they don't really race their horses like this. It's kind of out of the ordinary 2 weeks and 3 weeks later. So, you know, that's the big question mark. But you definitely can't take anything away from how talented this horse is. So I'm going to be rooting for him again. It's going to be a very, very difficult race. I actually love this one horse in the Derby, and I'll probably bet him in the Belmont as well, and that's Dallas Stewart's horse, Commanding Curve. I thought he ran a really, really good race, and I think he's morning line 15-1. I have to go back and look at that.
You're correct.
Yes. So I think he's definitely kind of sneaky good, and he's the type of horse that it looks like his running style, the longer the better for him as well.
One thing I'll say, Gabby, as a guy who likes to bet horses every day, I would be shocked if you and I both get 15-1 on Commanding Curve. I think he'll probably be about third choice. All the talk around Belmont has been how Wicked Strong, another horse who skipped the Preakness and will have the 5 weeks between races. Wicked Strong is installed as the 6-1 second choice. I think he and Commanding Curve, who, this has been by design. You talk about the way trainers like to run their best horses now. A 5-week layoff really is just about what every trainer I've talked to is what they would most want. And here you have two talented horses that will have the prescribed 5 weeks off.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of, going out of the ordinary regime for these connections, and you have fresher horses, and that's always the danger. And, of course, we don't want to see something like Smarty Jones where they kind of, attack a horse like this. But I think that, like I said, mentally he seems absolutely just so smart. And whether he guns it, from the gate with kind of the speed to his outside, or whether he takes back, that's obviously up to the connections and Victor Espinoza. But like I said, he's just the type of horse that you want because he seems so versatile that wherever you put him, he's going to give his 110%. And going back, and I actually watched the aerial view of the Preakness, and it looked like Ride on Curlin, was getting a little bit scarily close to him coming down the stretch. And once he felt pressure from his outside, you can really see it on the aerial view, he kicked it into another gear. And that's one thing that I've noticed with California Chrome is that he has multiple gears, and I'm just really tempted to see him get to his full potential because I don't know if we've seen it yet.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Gabby, as a guy who loved Ride on Curlin at 10-1, I felt chagrined that the closest I got was about outside the 3/16 pole, and the stretch was all California Chrome. As you said, he kicked into another gear. He has a terrific cruising speed, and he quickens on dirt faster than almost every horse that I've seen him run against the last 4 or 5 months. That is a very strong combination. I really thought that the only chink in his armor, and it hasn't happened, which doesn't mean it's there, is I would like to see a Triple Crown race that has a stronger pace, especially, I guess, when you like a horse like Wicked Strong and Commanding Curve. You're hoping to get a big pace at which to run at because, Gabby, I think if they give California Chrome a pace that's well within his comfort zone, nobody's going to beat him the second half of the race. And remember, the second half of the Belmont Stakes is another 6 furlongs. He just won't be tired, and no one will beat this horse if he isn't fatigued.
Yes, absolutely. If early in the race you see that Victor Espinoza has him in a really comfortable and easy position, they go a nice pace in front of him, I think it's most likely game over there. But obviously it's horse racing. You never know how things are going to turn out. Sometimes, California Chrome has a history of not breaking well. So, like I said, it's horse racing. Some things happen, but I think he's very talented, very smart, and I'm going to be rooting for California Chrome. But I'm also going to be looking for some prices. I haven't completely delved into the card yet, but it is a fantastic card, and I'm really excited to start on it. I'm going to do it tonight, actually.
Well, Gabby, I would say then when you do choose to delve into it, this 13-race card, of which Todd Pletcher has a horse in every single race, is one of the great handicapping exercises this side of the Breeders' Cup. And I will say one final thing. For Victor Espinoza, usually in sports, I'm even-keeled, Gabby. Let the chips fall where they may. But I will say I am rooting for Victor Espinoza in this regard. He lost all chance in the 2002 Belmont with War Emblem right out of the break, so he never had any chance at all to win the Triple Crown. And I do think that short of a similar thing happened to California Chrome, this time he's going to get a sporting chance to win the Triple Crown, something that was taken away from him 3 feet outside of the gate in 2002.
Yes, I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm rooting for him. I actually watched a special on California Chrome last night on Comcast Sportsnet, and they brought that up, the War Emblem and the Belmont race, and it was devastating, for everyone. And I just hope that it's a fair chance. Whatever happens, if California gets beat, I hope he gets beat fair and square, and that it's just a very, very fair race, because I think he deserves it.
And I'll tell you, before we get to Arlington today, Gabby, you could hear the incredible large gasp, because as you know, the mile-and-a-half Belmont Stakes is right in front of everybody. War Emblem had an outward type post position, and he had the white and green silks, and as soon as he went right to its knees, it was like everybody recognized, the casual fan, the young people coming over from Jones Beach. Everybody knew what we had hoped would be 2.5 minutes or less of high drama was over. Now, high drama at Arlington Park this afternoon. You want to give us a couple thoughts on today's card?
Sure, yes. There are actually 3 really good races this afternoon. One of them being the third race, an allowance optional claiming event going a mile on the turf course here for fillies and mares. And it's actually kind of an intriguing race, because the 2 short price favorites, the 5-2 favorite and the 2-1 favorite, they are coming off significant layoffs. I mean, one of them, the 8, the outside Kepi, coming off a layoff she's coming off a layoff since October. The 3, Katie the Lady, is coming off a similar layoff since October. These 2 seem like the class in the race. However, in their back form, it does seem like they probably need a race to kind of overcome the layoff. It just seems like, going back and watching the replays and looking at their form, they're not as sharp first off the layoff. They kind of need a race or 2. So there are some other horses in here that you're really going to get prices on. The 4 Starship Duchess I'm looking at. We saw E.T. Baird last week just pull a huge upset. It was a 6-to-1 shot overlay up to 18-to-1. He went gate to wire effortlessly on the turf. So I'm looking in the direction of the 4 Starship Duchess at 10-to-1. E.T. Baird hops aboard. This mare definitely has the speed. She's fast. She's by Spitestown. And I do think that one of her better races are on softer turf. If we go back to her race 2 starts back at the fairgrounds against Allowance Company, she thrived, winning by over 5 lengths for the A other than. So I think she's definitely one to look out for. I'm going to look in that direction for race 3.
Okay, another race, or is that what we have for us today, Gabby?
The 6th race is another one. This is a starter optional claiming event going 5.5 furlongs for the boys. And this is I think this is a competitive race as well. We have Expecting Cash at 7-2. We have Rojo Verde, who's 3-1. So it's a pretty wide open field here. I'm giving the slight advantage to the 8, Expecting Cash, for Tom Amoss, who's been really firing on all cylinders with not that many horses, but he's done really well. I believe he's 2 for 2 on the turf course. And if we go back to some of this horse's back races sprinting on the turf, he might have been a little bit outclassed against Stakes Company, especially Graded Stakes Company, but he is Graded Stakes place there in the Grade 3 Woodford. But he was running against, really tough Graded Stakes Company earlier this year at the fairgrounds. Some of the parts, very, very nice horse here. So he's been facing a little bit easier company, but exceeding at it, so he's going to have to step it up a little bit this afternoon. I like him, though, at the price. And the last race that I'm going to look at is the 7th race, an allowance optional claiming, going a mile on the turf course as well. I believe the 1 will be scratched, too. I liked 2nd in here, but I'm going to the 7, Raging Atlantic. Was kind of dull off the layoff there in the last race, but it was her first time on the all-weather. She's going back to the turf this afternoon, where she has some really nice races on the turf at Gulfstream. So she's a 9-2 morning line. Probably not going to get that price, though, with the scratch of the 1 at 7-2.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I talk about this with our viewers all the time. I noticed in the 7th race, etc., it says about 1 mile on the turf. Is there a place that we could go to find out plus or minus the mile? Is there any place that data is located?
You mean the specific distance?
Yes.
For sure. I definitely think that it's available on the website. If you go to the same location where it lists the type of grass that the turf course is made out of, you know, the poly information,
Right.
I think it's in that same
area
vicinity. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I always had those questions. Fairgrounds in the wintertime, they run all of their turf races at about distance, and I always figure it's either short or long. Be interesting. Now, I know you say you're going to look at the Belmont card, and just I think a race that many of us have looked forward to the 6 months. We crossed our fingers and our toes hoping that it would take place. It's one of the great showdowns in a generation, Gabby. It's about 3.5 hours before the Belmont Stakes. It's the Ogden Phipps. Do you have any initial thoughts on this tremendous late spring showdown with the older filly and mares?
You know, like I said, I haven't completely delved into it, but it historically, like you said, is a fantastic race. It's ultra competitive this year as well. I need to sit down and really look into it without
Do you have a personal favorite between the likes of Close Hatches, Beholder, or Princess of Sylmar? Has there been one of them that you have sort of rooted for through their 3-year-old season and now to this point?
I am a big Princess of Sylmar fan. I mean, I thought that earlier in her career she was always a little underrated, and time again she showed her heart. And she's just such a talented filly, but I am a little bit worried of Beholder as well. So, like I said, it's going to be a very tough race. But in the past, I have been a big Princess of Sylmar fan. And another horse I'm definitely going to be rooting for on Belmont Day is Ben's Cat.
Yes.
Shipping up to Belmont. I'm so excited to watch that race as well.
You know, one of the great stories with King Leatherbury, who has dominated the Mid-Atlantic. And I'm not saying he picked the wrong year to come up, but he would be about the 8th story. Heck, Palace Malice drew the rail in the Metropolitan Mile. You have the Manhattan, $1 million Grade 1 turf race. They're having a hard time getting publicity, but you're absolutely right, Gabby. Ben's Cat, who has won some stakes races in Maryland 4 or 5 times, now comes to New York for the Jaipur. King Leatherbury clearly closer to the end of his training career than the beginning. A great story on Belmont Stakes Day, the Jaipur, and I know many people will be rooting for Ben's Cat. And you know what? It might be one of those rare times when you can get a price on him sprinting on the turf because he's at Belmont Park for the Jaipur on Saturday.
Absolutely. You know, and going back and watching how he's kind of developed this season, you go back to his turf debut at Pimlico and for this season, obviously, and it was super slow, and I was kind of, questioning, his development this year, but they just do such a great job with this horse, getting him ready, putting him in the right places, and he just has so much heart and class that you think he might not do it, and then he does if he gets a clean trip. So I'm going to be rooting for him. Obviously, it's a little bit tougher, especially going up to Belmont, new surface. But he thrives, whether he goes to Penn or stays here or shifts around, he really does well. So I'm going to be he's going to be one of the Marylanders that I'm going to be rooting for on Saturday.
All right. Gabby Gaudet from Arlington Park. Gabby, enjoy what sounds like a beautiful spring day out at Arlington Park this afternoon. Thank you for joining us on Racing Across America.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Gabby Gaudet, ladies and gentlemen, from Arlington Park, kicked off her presence on Racing Across America last week, and this is week 2 in the book. Arlington Park front and center on Thursday afternoon. It is a beautiful facility, not in the heart of Chicago. It takes a little time to get out of town. Northwest, I would say, of Chicago in Arlington Heights. Mass transit will get you there, but once you get there, just a beautiful plant and very family-oriented. It doesn't get any better than this. Hopefully the weather will get increasingly better in New York. Remember, they have 2 stakes races tomorrow. They've juggled around through the years. The stakes races they'll run on Friday. They've run the Acorn. I think they've run the Hill Prince, as it were. This year they're going to run the True North, which for a little bit less than 20 years, was moved in the middle 90s to the undercard of the Belmont Stakes. Now it's on Friday afternoon, and that's the second to last race tomorrow. The last race, and I certainly want the weather to be perfect for this, 2 miles on the Widener Turf Course tomorrow afternoon, the Belmont Cup Invitational, a new race as far as my mind tells me, and that I love the long distance races. I really wish they would come back in American racing and those type of stallions would return to the landscape. But then Saturday afternoon, it's just unimaginable that a non-Breeders' Cup card could be this exciting. And you do get to the Belmont Stakes, which obviously is front and center, but you're talking the Met Mile, you're talking the Manhattan, Grade 1 racing at its best. You have the showdown about 3:15 in the afternoon, where I'm very intrigued on 2 fronts. One is Beholder is coming east as the 2-time champion of her generation, and that Close Hatches drew the rail on the 30th anniversary of Bill Mott winning in this race, his first Grade 1 race in New York. That was with Sam Maple on Heatherton, who would go back. In those days, it was called the Hempstead, and Heatherton would win back-to-back Hempstead handicap. Now it's the Ogden Phipps. And a showdown, we know how infrequently we look long-term. Long-term might be a month in horse racing. And when they bumped up the purse here, and Richard Mandela said that Beholder had that in her sights for the first half of her 4-year-old season, that she would come east and leave the friendly confines of the West Coast and take on Princess of Silmar, who has had a terrific, terrific career to date, and Close Hatches. And as John De Silva, who joined us earlier this morning, he's with Racing with Bruno, he talked out that the Chief, Alan Jerkins, having a 20-to-1 shot in the Ogden Phipps this year, is a major player for him against the big 3. Now, I love long shots. There's very few public handicappers that like long shots more than me. But when the waters are 3 deep, that's a little bit much. Now, it is coming out of Mr. Jerkins' barn, so you get a little leeway there, but we will see the Ogden Phipps. The Jaipur, which for many years was the only turf sprint stakes race in New York. Another race started about 30 years ago when Naira got ahead of the curve and had multiple stakes races, Belmont Week, Belmont Stakes Day. Of course, the 3-year-olds sprinting in the Woody Stevens, the old Riva Ridge, social inclusion. I think this is a good move by the camp. Good move in that they are skipping the Belmont with a horse who may have a world of talent. And if the horse can just really get some confidence and get a little campaign back under his belt before he takes on the best of his generation, I think they'll be rewarded. John De Silva made a good point. And I don't even know if they entered social inclusion in the Metropolitan Mile, but he probably would have gotten in with a feather. He'd be a 3-year-old taking on Elders in June with only an allowance and maiden victory on his resume. That would have been an interesting tack by social inclusion, but 7/8 in the Woody Stevens, a little bit better. But just a great day. Get working. All the information is out there. We had Seth Merrill on earlier this morning. The rain was heavy, it sounds like, early this morning. Clearing at Belmont Park today. Weather is getting nicer. They're off the turf for racing this afternoon at Belmont Park, but hopefully the worst of the weather in the metropolitan area is behind us as we get closer and closer to Belmont Stakes Day, which the clock on the wall tells me is about 48 hours and 40 minutes, it looks like, as we are 5 of 11 on Thursday morning. Ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up Racing Across America. Enjoy all your racing this afternoon. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.